Okay, welcome to Breslov Efrat here at Shira David. Baruch Hashem, we had another beautiful, successful Nate's Minyan today. Chesed Hashem. And okay, so we're in the middle of learning Torah Samach Hey and Likutey Moharan Vayim Abayaz Al Rus, and we're up to Gimel. Right? Everyone know that, right? Sasha, you okay? Okay. So Rebbe says again here, Vidah. And we know every time Rebbe says Vidah, we have to buckle up because he's telling us some very deep stuff. Vidah. That's Ruach HaKodesh. Bechinazu. Haina Bechinas Echad. So we were talking about the whole thing yesterday was when you daven, you have to make your whole tefillah should be one. Right? And there was the first word, first letter of the davening to the last letter. You're supposed to have it all together.
No interruptions, yeah.
More than no interruptions. You're supposed to really keep remembering. You're going back, you keep remembering, wow, I'm at Elena, but I did that Modani, wow, that was amazing, right? And you have to keep in mind the whole tefillah to make it one beautiful arrangement. It's big, okay? Zehut bechinas hatachlis. That's the tachlis of what? Right, and we end off the Elena with that pasuk, right? Look what the Rebbe says now. Then that day, that's going to be the tachlis. Because that's going to be a time where it's kulei tayv. Don't worry, the Rebbe is going to explain that. Don't worry. Because echad, when you have one, when you have unity, right? That is kulei tayv. So that's what we say when we have our tefillah and we have it as one. The tefillah, we bring it together. That's mamash something beautiful, tayv, that we can't even comprehend how beautiful that is. Kulei tayv. As we learn in the Gemara Psachim on Daf Gim. Ala pasuk zeh bayoyim hu Hashem echad. So the first question: Otu ha'idna lav echad hu? Are you going to tell me now that Hashem's not one? Right? Famous Gemara. I think everyone learned this Gemara. Baruch Hashem. Are you going to tell me now that Hashem is not one? What do you mean? On that day, Hashem will be one. Hashem is one now. So what does the Gemara answer? The Gemara answers. But right at this time now, Chas v'Shalom, when someone passes away, so we say Baruch Dayan Emes, right? That's what the Gemara says. Right, and we have that beautiful bracha, like you're sitting at a table and you made kiddush, right? Then someone brings in a very special bottle of wine, right? A beautiful bottle of wine, and you want to enjoy it, so you can make that bracha. Did you ever get to do that?
I have once. Yeah.
It's very nice, right, Sasha?
Yeah.
Very, very nice, right? Avalosid Yevorchu ala kol hatoiv hametiv. So but in the future, we'll be able to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu and make the bracha on everything's toiv. Because right now we don't recognize that the things that we seem as difficult in the world today, we don't necessarily see the toiv in those things. However, we know that really everything is toiv. But our perception of taiv is not there. We don't have the right perception of what taiv is. Why? Because really, when you make HaKadosh Baruch Hu as echad, that's the real tachlis. Because really, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the whole tachlis, the whole purpose is that everything should be good in the world. Because even all of the pain and suffering that we go through, the difficulty, the challenges that we have in life, right? Whether they'll be financial difficulties, whether they'll be health difficulties, or children, or marriage, or whatever it is, there are difficulties. But if you really look. Here's the word histaka, very, very interesting word, right? Because histaka means to look deep into it. If you really look into it, if you stakel ala tachlis, bevadei einam rois klal. you'll see that there's nothing bad there at all. There's nothing bad. Rak toives gedolos. It's only good. It's great. Everything is mamish great. Me'es Hashem. Now the Rebbe says, "Ki bevadei kol yisurim bayim bekavana me Hashem yisbarach l'toivosai." Because we know, we learned this concept so many times, right? We learned this in Likutey halachos. We spoke about it out many times. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends us whatever things that we have. It's for our good. Because again, ultimately, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to be able to get into that beautiful Gan, the Gan Eden, that beautiful garden, right? He wants us to get in there. And unfortunately, we don't always do the right thing down here. And we don't always remember to do tshuva on the things that we didn't do right down here, right? And because of that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends us difficulties to cleanse us from those things that we did wrong. Although we can always do tshuva, and we can save ourselves the headache and save ourselves the problem. But again, there's a Yetzer Hara that says, how can I do tshuva? I did this thing wrong, and right, all of that stuff, right? But really, be'emes, tshuva was kaidim li'olam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made tshuva first, right? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu made man in a way that we will make mistakes, and all we have to do is say we're sorry. That's all we have to do. We have to feel remorse for what we did and say we're sorry. But until then, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he has everything. The kavanah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is l'tayvasai. It's for our ultimate good. V'im lahaskiroi sheyosha b'tshuva. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to remind us to come back in tshuva. Does that make sense? So when we have a problem, what do we normally do? What does a person normally do? When they have a problem, they get all messed, they get all verblunted, they get all mixed into the pain, and they don't think right. They're just worried about the problem. This is the thing, this thing, and that thing, and that, and they don't recognize. But really, if we recognize, wait a second, that's coming from the Rabbeinu Shalom, and he's doing this for me. Wait a second. So if I turn back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that could be my salvation. That's my salvation. Not going deeper into the problem. You see, right? Sheyosha b'tshuva im limarek avaynaisav, in order to empty out the averis, because that's the only reason why the person has the problems in the first place, because he has his wrongdoings. Im kain hayisurim heim toives gedolos. So if that's the case, so then the yisurim that we have are really good. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is helping us, because we don't remember to do what we're supposed to do. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is so kind to us that he sends us those reminders. Although people don't always see it that way, right? People don't always see the problems and the difficulties they're going through as toivos.
But also, people react to these differently, like we were just saying. But even if someone recognizes that it is from Hashem. Mm-hmm. There's still justification to be like, to cry or be upset.
Yes, so we say that what is the cry? Perfect. What do we say crying is? Crying is you have a tear. What do we say that was? That's taking away from my vision. But what vision are you getting? You're getting the vision of Das. You're getting the vision of Hashgacha in that tear. So when you cry and you remember HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it has that. Do you remember we learned that? In Reish Nun, right? So in other words, if a person cries and they recognize that, and they recognize why they have the problem, they recognize it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so that can bring them back.
I'm not even referencing that. I'm talking about the tsar that Yisurim causes a person.
Right.
Chas v'shalom, somebody's family member dies, or they experience extreme financial pain or something that. Yeah,
he's going to talk about this. He's going to talk about this. So just stay tuned. The Rebbe is going to talk about this. Stay tuned. Ki kavanas Hashem Yisbarach Hu bevadei rak l'toiva. Because really the kavanah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is l'toiva. Again, we're saying that by Yom Hu Hashem Echad U'Shma Echad. Not that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing everything. Is Echad now. We can't say HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not Echad now, but we don't perceive Hashem as Echad now. Nimsa. Shekol harois ve'isurim sheyesh l'adam. That any kind of pain and trouble that a person has, chas v'shalom, im yistakel al hatachlis, if you look at your end game, What am I in this world for?
Big picture.
Am I in this world for only this situation now? Or am I in this world for, like you just said, the big picture? I understand there's a tachlis for everything that's going on. Hainu kavanas Hashem is baruch. I recognize what is the kavanah. What does Hashem want from me at this point? What does Hashem want me to do at this point? Why, Hashem, is this happening to me at this point? I need to understand it. I look at the tachlis, and then I can possibly start to remember things I may have done not correctly.
I personally know people who who see these Yisurim, whether it's personal or in the world, and they're like, oh, God is bad. Chas v'shalom, right? God is evil. Chas v'shalom. Like,
okay, these are people who are not maminim. They're not maminim. What are you going to do?
But they're Jewish.
These, but people that are
Judaism.
Okay, but they're not. They don't see the hashkochas Hashem.
Right.
So yes, they're Jewish and they're wonderful people, but they're not plugged in to understand, to see Hakadosh Baruch Hu in the world. That's the problem, and they're worried about everything else that they hear in the news, all from the Chachmei HaTeva, right? These guys are signed up to that program, the Chachmei HaTeva program. They're not signed up to the Emunah program, right? That's how it works. Honestly, am I saying it wrong? They're ascribed to that group. So that group brings depression and sorrow and everything. But they can leave that group at any time. They don't have to stay there. They don't have to stay there.
And what if I still don't get an answer?
Huh?
I believe that everything is Lutava, like whatever the problems are.
Yeah.
But I still don't get an answer.
So try again.
I don't get a
So try again. So try again. But look what.
I don't think it's as pusher that you're making it sound. There are people who have chemical imbalances.
I mean, we're not talking about those people. We're talking about normal people that are healthy. We're not talking about people that have chemical imbalances. They need to go to doctors. They need medication and something. That's a different thing. We're talking about normal people that are living their lives and they just choose to be upset by different things that happen in the world. That's what we're discussing. We're not talking about someone that's sick, they're sick. That's a different story. I mean, ultimately, if anyone that's sick, no matter what imbalance they have, the truth is, if they'll work on simcha, they'll work on having simcha in their lives and living the life of simcha and just seeing joy in things, it'll help them out a lot too. It'll help them out.
Yes.
And in the hospitals, they do that. They have these clowns, they have these different programs, they do this thing because they know that, again, every case is different. Yossi, I'm not saying every case.
Unfortunately, I've had to deal with
Okay.
depression.
Okay.
Telling somebody who's in a severe depression, "Oh, just be happy."
No. But what brought what brought the person to depression? It's years and years and years of seeing things and dealing with things and talking into the person. That's the koyach hadimyan. We learned about that in many lessons before. We learned that we have what's called the koyach hadimyan, right? We have the koyach of imagination. So if I imagine that everything in my life is crushing, everything's falling down, I'm not going to have any, I don't have any, everything is terrible. So of course the guy's going to go crazy. The guy's he'll make himself crazy. I'm not talking about a guy like that that has depression. I'm talking about people that are born. I thought that's what you meant. People that are born with different imbalances in their brain. I'm not saying depression is something that could have been self-inflicted. Depression could have been self-inflicted. I'm not saying every case, but in general. And my name is Freud, so I can say that. All right? Here we go. All right? But then the person won't have Yisurim at all. When again, I gave you the example, and we'll say it one more time. When you go to the dentist, right? When you go to the dentist, so is it painful? Yeah. Right? He gives you and even if he gives you the injection, so you don't feel the pain, but you hear that noise, right? That come on, but you're not upset at that, right? Who's upset? They're not really upset because at the end of the day, when he finishes the service, he gives the guy a lot of money, right? She's not that upset.
That's why I'm upset.
Oh, okay. You want to be okay? No. So the example I gave you the other day with the airplane, you go on the airplane and you're okay with it. Okay, so come on. There are examples that we have in the world that so if I can understand that I can go to a dentist and I don't punch the guy in the nose, right? And because he's making that noise in my right, so why can't I trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Again, if you did, there are ways you can work on it to see it. Rak adarabba, Yismali simcha migaydel roi v'atayva. The Rebbe says opposite. When you do that, when you recognize how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is taking the I can't really say he's taking the effort because to HaKadosh Baruch Hu it's not really there, but he's concerned. Can we say that? Maybe we could say that. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a concern for my well-being. Wow, that's pretty good. The Melech Malchei Amlochim cares about me and is trying to help me. Is that amazing? That's what we're learning, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to help me. A fascinating concept. So when you recognize that, that brings the person to great simcha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the master of everything, cares about me. Look how important, I'm important. Fascinating. Doesn't that give you a simcha? Right? You said the other day you went to a restaurant, you saw Bibi Netanyahu, right? Yeah. So you saw, wow, you see the guy, right?
I mean,
okay, he's another.
For a lot of people,
he's a yid, but he's another Michiganer,
yeah,
right?
People are ecstatic. But
Yeah. And Trump told him to take the gush, and he can annex it, and he said no. So I think he's a big idiot. I'm sorry. Right? Right? Trump told him, he gave him the thing, he told him he could sign, you can have gush. It's yours. No, I don't want it. Okay. An idiot, I'm sorry. Okay. Anyway, but it's all the Rabbeinu Shalom. Yistakel betachlis yisurim klal. You have to be mistakel on the yisurim halol. What these are? Ki hatachlis hu kulay toiv kulay echad. Really, the tachlis is it's all good and it's all from a Kadosh Baruch Hu echad u'be'emes ein shum ra ba'olam rak kulay toiv. There is no ra in the world. It's only good. But you have to work on this. You have to use that koyach hadimyan, right, to understand this, to recognize how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is so careful to help me out, that He'll give me this problem to wake me up, to recognize, wait, I'm not doing the right thing, I have to start doing the right thing. That's an amazing concept. Does that make sense? Look what the Rebbe says now. What's the main point that the person has the pain from the suffering that he's going through? Oh, look at this. Look at this. So the Rebbe is saying now that what happens, and this is what we have to recognize. When we go through the pain and suffering, like we said before, people sometimes get involved in the pain and suffering. They don't recognize where it's coming from, and they blame it on everything else. They blame it. They're blaming it. Why? Because our das is taken away from us. Because again, if we have the das, if we have that das, right, that we know it's all hashkachas Hashem, so then that's going to bring me to simcha. That's not really going to be a pain. That's not going to be a problem. Yeah, right? That's not going to be a problem. Ad she'ein yochel istakal al tachlis. So that's the problem. So in other words, they take away min hashemayim, they take away my das, so I can't see the tachlis. But that's why you have to recognize when things are going good, always to thank the Rebbeinu Shalom, always to be on a program of thanking HaKadosh Baruch Hu for everything. And then once you get in that program, so when even things go the other way, you're so hurgul in always thanking you're so, what's the word for hurgul? You're so used to, you're so accustomed to thanking Hashem. So even when this thing happens to me, I say, wow, Hashem, I realize it's you. In other words, they're going to take away my das that I can't see the thing because then it's not a test. All these things are a test, right? If you have a test, right, when you go to take a test, they don't let you have, the book open and you can't use Google and you can't, right? They don't let you do that. Because if you took a test and they let you use Google, what kind of test will be? You get the answers and everything will be good, right? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when we're going through a problem, they take away the books, they take away all of the das. What do we say the das is? The das of Hashgacha, that it's you Hashem, the Tachlis. They take that away to see what am I really made up of now? When I'm going through a problem, do I have it in my kishkes? Is it in my guts? Is it in my guts, this idea that it's all Hashem? Because they take away the das. Right? Oh, then this guy has pain, and he has suffering, and he has other kinds of pain. Because if the person would only have das, and he would look at the tachlis, why is Hashem sending this to me? Because like we said with the dentist, you're not margishing because you understand what's going on. I had a toothache, and now his guy is helping me take care of this, so it's going to be better in a couple of hours. I'll feel better, so that's a good thing. So if I can understand that with a dentist, so then why? And this, maybe we could think about that. Maybe whenever we should keep this in our mind. That's what I try to do. In other words, I try to keep that in mind. Believe me, we all go through our different things. Everyone has their problems. Every Yid has their little pekula. Every Jew has their own little package of stuff that Hashem sends them. But if you recognize the idea that you'll pay, you go to a doctor, you go to this and it hurts or whatever, but you'll be okay. So then, if you set that in your mind, it helps a lot. And then you can understand the hidden thing that's inside you. You can recognize it. Look at this. We have within our makeup. We have a tendency in our makeup that what? If a person has very big pain, right? He stubbed his toe and it really, really hurts. He's using a hard one. A person has to chas v'shalom have a limb amputated, right? Chas v'shalom, right? Chas v'shalom. What does he do? He closes his eyes tightly. He closes his eyes. Right? That's the normal tendency. When you have pain, what do? You close your eyes, right? Is that true? Is that what we do, right? It's in our nature that we do that. The guy closes his eyes very, very hard, very, very tightly. This is what we see and we sense. If a person wants to see something that's distant from him, right? So he squints. Right? You want to see something that's distant from you, you squint. Right? You're not looking at everything, you're trying to focus on that thing. So too, the Rebbe is trying to say, when I'm going through my problem, the same way I can't see something from far, I'll squint. And why do I do that? Because I'm trying to focus on that, so I have to focus on the Rebbeinu Shalom at that time. Haruos kidei lechaven haruos aladava harochik sheroitze lirois. Right. So notice he squints. That's the best way I can explain it. Right. And because he's trying to so to say block out everything in the peripheral vision.
Narrows is the vision.
Narrow peripheral vision. Right. I think that's the word peripheral vision. Right. The vision around. Right. And he's focusing on that thing. V'zeh machmas ki haruos. Because really the vision is a messenger of the mind. To bring in to the mind. The mind wants to know something, so it tells the eye to look. The Rebbe is going to explain in a minute. Tells the eye to look at that thing. Right? He says now, because really the re'iyah is das. Because I want to know something, I want to see something, I want to know what that thing is. I want to know the essence of what I'm seeing. I want to know the essence of what I'm seeing. But again, really, all this is not really an optical lesson. This is really a lesson how he's giving us the tools, how we can focus in our lives when we go through something that chas v'shalom that's difficult, to know. I close my eyes to recognize HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I squint because I want to focus in on that thing, right? Notice how he's teaching us how we can focus on things. Okay. Ki ikariya hiya yediya leida hadavar sheroya. Vayediya hu hi b'mayach. And the idea is where in the mind. Where do you have the das? Is in the mayach, right? When the mind wants to know something, that's in front of it. He sends a message to the eyes. Fascinating. The Rebbe explains this, right? So notice the mind knows that there's something going on in the area. It wants to know what's going on, but the mind can't see. So the mind sends a signal to the message to the eyes. Okay, look at that thing now. Look at that thing, and send me back I want to know what that is. And then the mind will know what he saw. If something passes by someone very quickly, let's say you're on a train, right? And you're going to train one of those high-speed trains, and you're just looking out the window. You can't really see anything. You're seeing a lot of things. Your eyes are seeing it, but you can't focus on it, right? You're not focusing on it because you're going so quickly. You don't know the mahus. You know there's something there. There were trees. There was this. There were houses. There were buildings. But you don't know the mahus, the essence of what I saw. I can't really define what I saw. Even though that you really saw it with your eyes, you saw it, you did see it. In kol zeh, machmas hamehirus lo yahaya panai lahavi adava l'sayich hamayach. Because it was so quickly, so the eye couldn't focus on it, and it was almost like an optical illusion, right? Right?
That's so much related to all my work. All the
angles and
the angles. So like when we talk about the zoom lenses, like really, it's not like
the fisheye lens. A fisheye lens, right? When you do the
technical terms are like the angle of view.
Yeah.
This one could be like 180 degrees, but the zoom lens is like 2 degrees.
Yeah.
That gives me like right over
yeah,
there.
mamish.
And this like a high-speed photography.
Amazing. But our eyes are high-speed photography. Because the mind, the eyes are actually seeing and recording everything it sees.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing what the Rebbe knew? Come on, this is it.
Yeah, it's like I can.
This is a photography course here, right?
Okay. 120 frames a second instead of 24 frames a second, and then I can see so much more.
Wow.
Explosion and whatever.
Right, that's exactly what the Rebbe is saying, because you can focus in on it. Therefore, when the thing is so distant, when you want to see somebody that's distant, it's past the person's ability to view. His vision doesn't see that far. So he can't send that message. The eye wants to see it, but maybe it's a mile away and you can't really see it. You can see something of it, but he can't focus in on it. Because now he's looking ahead, but he sees all those other things. He can't focus in on that thing because he sees everything in the peripheral vision at the same time. And then also it becomes distorted, right? It becomes like a distortion to some extent. Through this, the person, what? Niklash. So through that, the person is what? Is like he's disturbed by it, right? Because he wants to see this thing, but he can't see the thing because he's seeing everything else. He can't bring the message back. The mind wants to see it, but he feels that the eyes feel I'm not a good messenger now, because the eyes want me to give it the message, but I can't do it. Therefore, the person has to close the eyes. Like we said, to squint. He'll be mitzam sem the ruas, right? Ulechavnoi el adova shetzarech, and now he can focus in on that thing, pinpoint on that thing that he wants to see. Kidei shelo yibalbul advarim acherim, so that way other things won't confuse it during the thing, because that's why he'll close the eyes so he doesn't see the peripheral things because it's closed. He can't see the peripheral, and then he'll be able to focus in on that thing. V'gam kidei sheyischazei kakoyach hareus v'lo yiyeh kolosh, and therefore it won't be distorted. It'll be clearer because he's focusing in on it. And then he can start to see something that's further away. Again, whatever the ability is and how far it is, right? It will be how much he can, how clear it'll be. How clear that will be. Okay, the same way when I want to see, I'm dealing with a difficult situation, and I want to look at the Tov, and I believe you, Hashem. I believe you that everything you do in the world is good. I believe you, Hashem. I want to see that. Let me see it, Hashem. Let me see that. Kula Yechad. I want to see the Echad. I want to live in the time of Mashiach now. I want to feel what it's like, Hashem. I want to feel what it's like to see that it's really good. It's Kulei Echad. It's Kulei one. It's only you, Hashem. So close your eyes from what you're dealing with, and then you can start to be mechaven on the istachlis elatach. You can now start to look with your eyes closed. You can now look at this. This is amazing. With your eyes closed, you can now look. Right? It's a tata desastres, right? One's countering the other, right? I'm closing my eyes, but now I can look and see what the tachlis is, and that can help me. Because again, they take away my das. I don't have the das during this situation. I don't have it, which means I don't have the ability to see, because there's so many things around me that are blocking my vision of seeing the tachlis of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because of that, so then what does the Rebbe say? Close your eyes. Then if you close your eyes, you don't see all that stuff around you. The same idea that we're learning at night, right? When the sun goes down, you can't see the Rebbeinu Shalom in the world so much because the Oivdei Kechavim have their rule over there. So what do? Go to sleep. What do you do when you go to sleep? You close your eyes. Tachlis. Same idea. You understand, right? What?
Very visual.
Very good. Ki ora tachlis hazeh hi rechoika mi'adam. Because the aura of the tachlis hazeh, that it's all toiv, that's very, very distant from the person. It's very, very far. It's very, very hard to comprehend. He can't see it. V'yefshel lirois ki im b'sisimu de'enin. But if he'll close his eyes from the things of the world, all the happening things that are going on, the things that are so fast in the world, things are happening at such high speeds. The same way when you're trying to see something, when it's high speed, you can't see it. So too in the world, things are moving in light years of time. It's unbelievable how fast things are moving. So you have to close your eyes. V'tzarich listay mes einayim. Ligamre ulisgoram bechazok hamoed, and don't just close your eyes, but close them tight. Close your eyes real tight. Don't let anything in. Don't let anything in. Afgam lidochkam be'etzba, and sometimes also cover with your fingers. Kidei l'sasam ligamre, so that they'll be totally closed. And what do we do when we say Shema? Right. So we close our eyes and we cover our eyes. Right. You close your eyes and you cover your eyes. Why do you do it? Because you want to see the tachlis. What do we say in Shema? Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. So we're seeing the concept of every time by Yom Ahu Hashem Echad U'Shmai Echad. Every time we want to see the Echad, the oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you have to close your eyes. Because if you're involved with things in the world, you can't see the tachlis.
Sometimes you can see people who press it like
yeah, they're hard. They're pressing it hard. Why are they doing it? Because I don't want to see anything. I just want to focus on you, HaKadosh, be makabel ol malchus shemayim the right way. And then a person can be mistakel on his tachlis. And that's the whole point. And this is the secret to mamash live a happy life. Because no matter what, we're going to have different situations that are going to happen in life. True. It's true, there's going to be situations, but if I recognize that every situation is mamash me'ez Hashem l'tayva, see it's for my good, if I recognize that, that brings me to great simcha. So even if I'm dealing with a painful situation, if I recognize it's from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how wonderful it is. Hainu shetzarech listam eseina mechazu, the hayalma, from the vision of this world, the gamri, ulahalem einav, to cover his eyes, l'izgora mi'oid, like we said, l'vli l'istaka klal al tavis oilam hazeh ulavola. To not look. Well, a lot of times people have problems. Why do they have problems? Because they have different types. They want different things. They don't get what they want, and because they don't get what they want, they're all upset. They're bent out of shape, right? They get bent out of shape. Then the person can see, and he can be masik. He can attain this tachlis of what? Shekulay tayv, that it's really kulay tayv. Because is batlu hayisurim, then the yisurim will be nullified. Ki ikka yisurim machma sherachayk mi'atachlis. Because the whole point of pain is why? Because the person is distant from his tachlis of recognizing how HaKadosh Baruch Hu does everything for the good. And that's why it's in our nature. We have that tendency to do that when we have a problem, we close our eyes whenever we have any pain. Because I want to run away from that pain. And how can I nullify it? How can I get rid of it? By closing my eyes and recognizing that it's you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu Kulay Tayv, that the BRI-Breslov is really Kulay Tayv. Shastaklis Hazois, Efshe Ki'im Ayadei Sisima Seinayim. To recognize the oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and how Kulay Tayv, you can't get that unless you close your eyes. Because when you look around the world and you see all the pain and suffering that's going on in the world and everything that's going on, the craziness that's going on, you go nuts. Like Yossi was saying before, people they go into depression, right? Because they ascribe to the Chachmei HaTeva, right? These are Chachmei HaTeva people for years and years and years. They take the Koyach HaDimyan and they imagine the worst things and everything is bad and everything's going to happen. Oh yeah, this guy's going to send this and this is going to happen. Oh, and they go crazy. The people make themselves crazy. Okay, then like we said before, Sasha, it's not that everyone is. In some cases, people have an imbalance. Okay, I'm asking, right?
So many times when people drug themselves.
But most of the time, I probably would say 95% of the time. 95% of the time. Even if the person doesn't know what he's doing, you see, like we were learning yesterday about the nefesh, right? The nefesh knows everything. The nefesh knows. You don't have to worry. You just do the right thing. And the nefesh shelikus, that we have in us, the nefesh shelikus understands. Va'al kain mutba listay ma'inayim b'shas yisurim, and that's why it's set up. It's incumbent upon us to close our eyes whenever we're going through Yisurim. So like we just to review over here, we said like this. The Rebbe said today that really, and he said, what does it mean? He asked the question, what? Until now, from the Gemara from Sachim, what does it mean? Until now, it's not Echad. How can you say that? No, so we said that now we say Baruch Tayin Emes, and we have the bracha of Atayva Meitiv. But in Mitzvah Hashem, when Mashiach comes, there'll be only the Atayva Meitiv. Only because we don't understand. We don't look in and see the tachlis of everything Hashem does is really Toiv. And we said, why can't the person do that? Because again, we said if the person does look at the tachlis, so then what? Then he sees it's all good and he knows it's all Me'ez Hashem. But the problem is they take away our das min hashemayim when we're going through a problem. So we can't see it. So then we start to look at everything else and blame everything else, and we don't focus in on the BRI-Breslov. But we said the same way, when you're traveling quickly and you can't see what's going on because you're going so quickly, and the mind wants to know what's going on, and the eyes are trying to see it, but it's just going so fast it can't focus in on it, right? But then we said when the person squints, right? When he squints, he can then focus in because he blocks out the peripheral vision, and then he can now see, he can focus in on a thing. So too, if you want to see and understand how everything is really kulei toiv me'es Hashem, and even more than that, how HaKadosh Baruch Hu goes through the, so to say, the trouble kiviyachol. Nothing's trouble for Hashem, but I'm only saying that so we can understand, right, that Hashem goes through kiviyachol a trouble to set me up on this program to help me. So then, Adarabah, when I realize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing that for me, and any time, if I set that in my mind, and I understand that every time I have a problem, it's really from HaKadosh Baruch Hu sending me a message. Wow, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is taking the time to send me a message? Fascinating. And how do you do that? You have to close your eyes. You have to close your eyes. When you close your eyes, the same way when you have Yisurim, you close your eyes. That's innate in our makeup that we do when we close our eyes. The same way we have to close our eyes. And by closing our eyes, we can see the tachlis of Toiv. We can recognize it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The same way, every time we say Echad, right? When we say Bayayimu Hashem Echad U'Shma Echad, we say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. By Shema, like we said, we close the eyes because then we can see the tachlis. We can be Mekabel the Ol Malchus Shemayim in a proper way, which is what we're supposed to do. And when we are Mekabel the Ol Malchus Shemayim, so they take away from us the all of Parnas and all the yoke of all the other things, and that's really the answer. So thank you, everyone. Kol Tuv.